Chapter 35 La Mazzolata. "Gentlemen," said the Count of Monte Cristo as he entered, "I pray you excuse me for suffering my visit to be anticipated, but I feared to disturb you by presenting myself earlier at your apartments. Besides, you sent me word that you would come to me, and I have held myself at your disposal." "Franz and I have to thank you 1,000 times, Count," returned Albert. "You extricated us from a great dilemma, and we were on the point of inventing a very fantastic vehicle when your friendly invitation reached us." "Indeed," returned the Count, motioning the two young men to sit down. "It was the fault of that blockhead Pastrini that I did not sooner assist you in your distress. He did not mention a syllable of your embarrassment to me. When he knows that, alone and isolated as I am, I seek every opportunity of making the acquaintance of my neighbors. As soon as I learned I could in any way assist you, I most eagerly seized the opportunity of offering my services." The two young men bowed. Franz had, as yet, found nothing to say. He had come to no determination, and as nothing in the Count's manner manifested the wish that he should recognize him, he did not know whether to make any allusion to the past, or wait until he had more proof. Besides, although sure it was he who had been in the box the previous evening, he could not be equally positive that this was the man he had seen at the Colosseum. He resolved, therefore, to let things take their course without making any direct overture to the Count. Moreover, he had this advantage. He was the master of the Count's secret, while the Count had no hold on Franz, who had nothing to conceal. However, he resolved to lead the conversation to a subject which might possibly clear up his doubts. Welcome to Chapter 35. I can't believe we've made it this far. We're nearing 500 episodes, folks. In another 2 months, we'll hit episode 500. That's pretty wild to me. Thank you for being here and listening day to day. We get a continuation of Chapter 34 with Franz and Albert finally meeting the Count of Monte Cristo. The Count of Monte Cristo in the flesh is here before us, speaking, addressing Franz and Albert directly. Now, these are dangerous speculative waters that I'm treading right now. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to waste your time, my time, wondering what's going to happen, but that's kind of part and parcel of what the show is becoming. I'm just going to raise the question without going too deep on what it could possibly mean. But we've seen Dante as a man of manipulation, using his wealth to change the outcomes of things. We saw that with Morel, and I don't think Dumas would have put us through the Cadrus and Morel chapters if it wasn't to demonstrate just what Dante is capable of. Which brings us into this scenario with Franz and Albert, two men who we really don't know a lot about. They are two young men from upper society in Paris on vacation in Italy, Rome to be specific. Why does Dumas choose to tell this chunk of the story through Franz and Albert's perspective, Franz particularly? Why does he choose to start it with a encounter with Sinbad the Sailor, aka Dante, so that it haunts him through all of these different scenarios at the opera, at the Colosseum? If we start to put these things together, and I'm not going to draw conclusions, I'm just going to point to the dots here. Dante, the master manipulator, wealth that can free people from the prison system, who can free someone from bankruptcy, turn their life around, and create miracles seemingly out of nothing. A man who can create a sort of hypnotic delusion in someone, both with his wealth and the aid of, a drug, to the point where they wonder if they dreamed it, or at the very least, creating a mystique and mystery around him that would haunt someone to want to investigate further. That is where Franz is right now, and that is what Dante is capable of. There's that 8-year gap between Morel and when we are introduced to Franz going to the island of Monte Cristo for the first time. So I'm just asking the question as to why Dumas would choose to do that. This book is about Dante wanting revenge on Villefort, Fernand, Danglars, and not so much Cadrus anymore, I don't think, unless what he encountered with Cadrus was the first step in a larger punishment to him. Which brings me back around to something I was questioning so deeply when Franz was first visiting the island of Monte Cristo, which is, I'm beginning to believe more and more that this is orchestrated by Dante for some purpose. Albert clearly has a connection to Villefort, but from what we learned from Caderousse, does not seem that Villefort has any connection to Fernand, but Fernand has a connection to Mercedes, to Danglars, and wants to see them suffer for it. Well, not Mercedes. He wants to reclaim Mercedes, I think. Well, reclaim is a weird word I wish I hadn't used, but reconnect with her. She thinks Dante's dead, and so she's gone off to marry Fernand. Again, I'm pulling from memory of the brief mention we had it all those chapters ago, but married Fernand, had a child named Albert. Named Albert. She had a child named Albert. Wait, Mercedes and Fernand had a child named Albert. Mercedes and... Hold on. Oh my God. Folks, is this going to be the most embarrassing moment of my life? Hours of... No, hold on. There's no way. It has to be, though. Franz and Albert. Albert? Because I made the joke. Mercedes and Fernand had a child named Albert. Remember? Albert. What a weird name, but no, it's Albert. Albert! Could there be two characters named Albert in the same story? Oh my God, folks. Sorry, you're listening to my brain break in real time. I'm sure this is not good podcasting. I'm literally in my closet with a flushed face right now with embarrassment at going this many chapters and only just making the connection. Well, let's do some math here. Albert is a young man. How old do we want to say he is here? About 20, somewhere in his 20s. So 8 years of the time gap. Plus Dante was imprisoned for 14. That would... Fuck! This is Albert. This is Fernand and Mercedes' son. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Folks, I am sorry I swore just then. I feel like it's a little justified. I'm speechless right now. I was planning to sit down and do so much more podcasting today, but this is making me re-guess everything. Because if Albert is the son of Fernand and Mercedes, then Franz would be a way to get to him less directly. It still seems pretty circuitous, but makes for a better story. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna sit on this for a second. I do not know what I'm processing in my brain, and this doesn't feel like good podcasting. I'm so sorry, folks. Is Albert the son of Fernand and Mercedes? Join me here tomorrow. Is that where we're heading? Okay. A little bit more of book 35 as we get underway. I was going to say something about the title, La Mazzolata. That makes me a little nervous for where we're going in this chapter, but, okay. I'm scattered. I'm sorry. I'm ending. See you here tomorrow. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.